Right, okay, good. So first of all, it's lovely to be up here and be able to speak about my new paintings. It's always a privilege to have my work hanging here on the wall. I feel so supported by the staff of Portland Art Gallery and also by my fellow artists. We really show up for each other every month. And I'm always inspired by the work around me, and right now I'm surrounded by the beautiful work of Catherine and Annie and Cooper. I'm gonna start, so this was an interesting winter and spring of painting a new creature, right? So I am gonna start with the common terns that Emma just referenced. Last summer, I was floating around a boat with my husband Scott, and he was saying to me, we were up in the Damerscott River, he was saying, "You've got to paint these terns." Now, we're both bird watchers, so we know what that is, but they are ubiquitous coastal seabirds, and they're different from a lot of other species. They're kind of small, and they have these long, slender, pointed wings that are really strong, and they have forked tails, tail feathers that help them move around, and when you watch them fly, they are like little fighter jets. You know, they're swooping and diving and chattering and hovering and just dramatic. And I usually hear them before I see them because they're all talking to each other as they're fishing. And so the challenge, there was a series of challenges posed by this. First of all, I haven't done these parts before, and if you know my paintings, you know I like to get the animal right. Okay, that's very important to me. So I was fortunate enough to have, I don't know whether Mike Boardman is here, coffee with another fellow artist and a wonderful naturalist. And he said, "Susan, you should go up to Maine Audubon and Falmouth. They have a taxidermied common tern." So up I went, and I spent a couple of hours sketching that tern and getting to know how the bird was put together, because that helps inform how I can paint it and how the light and the shadow are gonna create the shape of it. So that was thing one, I had to get to know them. Thing two was, when you're looking at wildlife like this and they're moving so fast, I probably took 250 to 300 photos. And each photo was of one bird, right? You're never gonna get a whole bunch of birds in a photo. They're just too fast. It's not, I mean, somebody can do it, not me. And so how to create paintings that get at the motion of these birds and the way they relate to each other and how they behave and how they fly, and most importantly, how do I get at the feeling that I have as I'm watching them, as I tend to completely lose myself when I'm observing nature like that. And so how do I make paintings that can convey how I feel about them? So hopefully those 3 tern paintings on the wall do that for some of you. The final challenge, which exploded my brain completely, and I whined about it to the gallery staff as I was in process all winter, was I wanted to make 3 paintings, 3 completely different paintings of the birds that would hang alone, be able to stand alone, but would be a triptych and be able to hang together. So every bird is individual. I never repeated the shape once, right? But how do I compose something that works, and you still get that sense of depth and how they're all zooming and flying. So, and that thread of like, what's the experience of the animal, that thread you can follow through the rest of my work. The butterflies are new for me. With the terns and the mackerel, sometimes once I get to know an animal, I start pushing abstraction a little bit and using water as a vehicle to help me think about how to break that animal up. So with mackerel, that's easy with water surface. With the tern reflections you see there, I took a photo of the water surface on a really still, cloudy day, and then was playing with that and playing with all the images of the terns, and that's what resulted. We'll see where that takes me in the next painting. And then I'm playing with monarchs in that same way on my art table now. A quick note on the horses. I'm a deep horsewoman. Don't ask. You don't want me to go down that road. But I was hanging out at the Maine State Society for the Protection of Animals, which is about a half an hour west. Late November, the light in the early morning was amazing, and these 3 young mares were out in the field. They're Frisians, which is a very elegant, dramatic Dutch breed, and they wanted to eat my camera or lick my camera, but they were scared of me and scared of my camera. So that was the whole interaction I was having with them, and it was a lot of fun, and I hope I captured that. I have a few people to thank. My husband, who is amazing. He makes all the cherry hardwood molding from scratch. He goes down to Atlantic Hardwood, picks out the boards he loves, makes the molding, and frames my pieces. And then Casco Bay frames, they get us out of tight spots, Scott and me, all the time. So if we break a piece of glass, like we did this time right before delivery day, they had the new glass cut that morning that I was delivering the painting, so shout out to that team. And then so many friends and collectors and fellow artists and classmates, thank you so much, and family, thank you so much for being here. Come talk to me about my paintings. Thank you.